Well, welcome everyone again to the Mentor Teacher webinar. We look forward to sharing some important updates to you all and appreciate the hard work that you do as our mentor teachers. I'm Christine Jones, Senior Education Program Manager with Benetech, and we've got a great team of people to present some wonderful updates to you. So I'm going to get started with showing you how to add a student to a Bookshare account in a sort of new way that also allows you to assign books at the same time and or assign multiple books by assigning them to multiple reading lists. So right now I'm going to go ahead and share my my application. Okay. Okay, so hopefully you all should be seeing the Bookshare homepage. Maybe one of the other speakers let me know if that's what you're seeing.
Yep.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and log into my demonstration teacher account that simulates the account that many of you already probably have or have worked with. And you'll see I have a number of fake students on my roster here, so I'm going to go ahead and add, go down to the bottom here where it says Add a Member, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. I can also select this icon at the top. This is new, so I can select that button to add a member. So I'm going to just add another fake student here. Give me a second. And we need to put in the birth date, select the grade level, and then assign a username and password. And to make things easy, I just use the student name, and I use that in both the username and the password. But you can use anything here. You can use student ID number or the student name. The password has to be a combination of at least one letter and numbers. So let's go ahead and add this to schools and districts. I'm going to say that the student has a learning disability and is on an IEP. And then when I select the Save button, oops, okay, the username is already in use. All right, so let me make a different one here. We'll do 7273. Hopefully that one will work. Okay, so then it asks me here, it says, I've added your student to the roster. Do you want to assign books to them now? And I have three options. One is to add this student to any one of a number of reading lists, and we've added a lot of publicly available reading lists now that have been curated by the Bookshare team, and I can add the student to any one of those, and I'll show you some of those. I can also create a new reading list that's for this student that I can later go and add other students to as well, or I can decide not to do either of those right now. But I'm going to go ahead and choose to add this student to reading lists. And so then I have here a list of a lot of reading lists to which I have subscribed, and I will go through that with you in a minute, but just for purposes of efficiency here, I'm going to go ahead and select some reading lists. So this student I added is in 11th grade, so I'm going to be looking for reading books that are of particular interest to the student, and I'll go ahead and select some of those. This is books to film, which are books that have turned into movies, and those are always great ones to share with students. Let's do some various books here. Okay. All right, I think that's actually good for now. So I've got some good lists for the student to choose from in terms of books that are now assigned to them. So I've added the student, and I've assigned that student to 4 of my reading lists. Just quickly, Ginny is going to jump on in a minute and show you what that student experience will be like, but right now what I'll do is show you the reading lists, all the reading lists that I could choose from to add to the student or any number of students. In fact, I can reach them from here. I can select a number of students that I want to add, maybe students I already had on my roster. I want to add to some new reading lists, so I can select the students by checking the boxes to the left of their names, and then select the reading list button, Add to Reading List button at the bottom. There's also an icon at the top I can choose for that. And then I can go ahead and select any number of reading lists here to add to assign to those students. So I can assign multiple students to multiple reading lists at the same time. So I'll go ahead and do that. But let me go into the list of reading lists. So if I go, and the way that you add students to a reading list, let's see, no. I was thinking there was an icon for that, but I guess maybe we have to use this one at the bottom. Oh, that's what the book one is up here, right? Yeah, I have to check a student, and then that icon at the top becomes available to add a student to a reading list. Okay, but let me show you the list of reading lists, and there are lots of really exciting reading lists, and the way that you find them is you go into My Reading Lists, and then this icon at the top, which is to subscribe to shared reading lists, brings up all the reading lists that are available, and I'm going to go ahead and just look at the public ones here. I've filtered by just public lists. And you'll see there's lots and lots of great lists here. Many of these, again, curated by the Bookshare team and pushed out for everyone to use to make things very simple for you to find great books for students. You can also search for particular lists. For example, if you have a student who's interested in Harry Potter books, you can search and find, oh great, we have the Harry Potter series right here. If you want to search for other topics, you can do that. And then you have the opportunity to subscribe to any of those reading lists. There are two options that you have when you pull up these reading lists. You can actually subscribe to them, or you can copy them. Let's see, so if we select a reading list, we go to the public ones, and let's select this one. I think if I select the reading list, I have the option of subscribing or copying. And basically subscribing means that as that list is updated, I'll always get the updates. So things like award winners are good to subscribe to. However, I can't make any changes to that list. If I want to customize that list for my students, the best thing to do is copy it, and then I can add books or remove books to it. And I can do both. I can subscribe to the one that Bookshare is curating. I can copy it at that point in time and name it something slightly different and know that that's sort of my own version of that list that I can add and subtract books from. So that's adding reading lists and adding and assigning books to students. So Ginny, I think you're going to jump on now.
All right. Hi, this is Ginny Graham. I'm Senior Product Manager for Bookshare, and I'm going to show you a version looking at it from the student's perspective. So if you'll hang on one moment, I will share my screen. I'm going to log in with that account that Christine just used. I'm hoping, can you see my Welcome Student 7273 demo? All right.
I don't see it on my end. Just do you guys see it? Oh, yep, it's coming. It looks like it's coming now, Ginny. Yep, there it is.
Okay, so I just logged in with my new student username and login, and in fact I can see the reading list that Christine, my teacher, just assigned to me. And in fact, I cheated. I read ahead and I opened up one of the books. But let me just go from the user's perspective. If I were to see any of my reading lists to which I've been assigned, such as the applying to college, I'm glad my teacher's able to do that. I might take a look at some of the books that are out there and I now have access to download any of those. So we've got college guides, SAT prep, etc. But I'm in the mood for more of a pleasure reading right now, so I'm going to go to the Books to Film reading list and take a look at some of the books that I've been hearing all about from my peers and choose one of those to read. So we're going to just go for this very first one. I'm going to choose the Read Now option. I'm now in WebReader, where I left off after my speed reading a few moments ago. This does take a moment generally to package for the very first time, but to honor everyone's time, I just wanted to get that going. So let me just turn on my speakers though, so that are we going to have too much echo? Before we start on that, I just want to show you some of the settings that we have. So you can change the font face. Some people like the Open Dyslexic, others stay with the current default. You can change the font size depending upon the needs of the person using the book. You can change some of the colors and even use the Beeline option, which some people enjoy. You can see what that one has done is it's given a coloration to it. So for a user for whom the coloration going from one line down to the next, you can see how the color bleeds over from one line onto the next and carries their eyes forward. If that helps your students, we highly encourage you to use this. Beeline is making this available to Bookshare members. I'm going to just turn that off so that we focus just on the highlighting that we're about to see, although it certainly does work with the highlighting. So let's just go into that. I don't have my microphone on.
And her brother had put his arm around her. He had looked almost proud, Fiji thought, as being the one who was standing up to adversity.
Jenny, can you turn that up at all?
But maybe it was the sudden face-to-face encounter with death that had shaken the normally serene creek. The rest of you, come to the diner, Madonna said from the window of her truck. We got to eat this food. Might as well do it there. Fiji went to home cooking with the rest of them. And she couldn't put anything.
That's great.
I'm going to stop that. But so that was just a standard Windows voice. Turn off the speaker, and we're going to use the just go to the microphone again. So that was just a standard voice that is on Windows 10 for Chrome. Everyone has different versions, but there are some options that you can use by looking at the settings and learn more about voice options. Our Help Center offers some other options as well. Does that give enough of a flavor for what is going on? Of course, you can still always go to a specific page or a chapter, but bottom line is that students are going to be able to get around to their different work with whatever the teacher's doing, whether they're going to a certain page number or chapter 12. So I'll leave it at that.
Awesome. Thanks, Jenny. I think Laura's next up, getting ready to demonstrate a book being read in iBooks.
That is correct. Just need a second here to share. All right, can you see? Mm-hmm. All right,
yes.
Great. So in the last year or so, you now have the option of opening a book in iBooks. And iBooks is an app that comes standard on any Mac computer or iPad or iPhone mobile devices. Today I am using this on an iPad. So what you would do is you would go into Bookshare, into the website, find a book. I'm going to look at one of these New York Times bestsellers for children.
So,
and
just to clarify, sorry, Laura, just to clarify, you launched the Safari browser, correct?
Yes, in the Safari browser.
And then you logged in as the student, or as an individual member.
Right, correct. At Bookshare.org, and then I went to browse and I pulled up one of these collections, and then I'm going to download a book. And for iBooks, you download it in the EPUB format. So I'm going to download it in EPUB I'm downloading it for one of my students. And I would say download book. You download the book. That wasn't supposed to happen. Format as EPUB and download it for the student. Then the book will open up in iBooks. And there's a bit of a lag, so I'm not seeing. There we are. Okay, so here we are in iBooks, which is just the app on the iPad. And you can see I have 3 books there. We're going to look at Anne of Green Gables. And the iPad has a lot of accessibility features built in. I'll show you where you go to change that, but you can turn on speak and highlighting. And you don't need any special equipment. It's just already built into the iPad.
L.M. Montgomery. Freely distributable material. This notice describes the copyright ownership, if any, and any legal restrictions on the use of this Bookshare digital material which
Laura, can you select a chapter to read, do you think?
Let me try. And there's a really big delay, so.
For those of us who are on the webinar, we're now seeing the highlighting that you were doing a moment before.
Public domain or available under a license. Anne of Green Gables, purely feminine accomplishment and not to be dreaded in the case of a boy. I'd never dream of taking a girl to bring up. I wonder at Mrs. Alexander Spencer for doing it. But there.
Okay, yeah, you're right. There's a little delay in what we're seeing on the screen versus what we're hearing in the audio, but we get the general idea. So you want to just explain what's happening there, Laura?
Yeah,
I mean, how it's reading?
Right. It's highlighting the text as it's being voiced. And to turn that on, you go into the settings on the iPad. And then under General, there's the Accessibility tab. And then Speech. And you can turn it on and off. You turn on Speak Selection and Speak Screen. And highlight the content. You can do it by words, sentences, or words and sentences, and you can have it, underline, or it be a color.
But reflecting that,
so here you can see it's underlining some of the sentence.
His arrival, she concluded to go up the road to Robert Bell's and tell the news.
And I think when you do that, you have to use the two-finger swipe method to get it to start, right, Laura?
Right, yeah, and it's not, that's what I did. It's not showing my hand doing it, but that brings up the little toolbar, and it has the tortoise and the hare, which to speed up the voices or slow down the voices. And you can use any of the voices that the iPad or the Mac computer has built into it, and they offer a variety of voices and accents, so you have your pick for whatever the student or the reader prefers.
Great. Yes, that's excellent. And just to reiterate, this is a free option for reading Bookshare books because, as Laura said, iBooks comes on every Mac computer and every iPad and iPhone. So for those students who have access to those devices, this is a great way to read Bookshare books. The book just has to be downloaded either by the teacher or the student could actually log in. If the book had been shared with that student on a reading list, the student can actually log in and find the book and download it to the device in EPUB, and then it will prompt the user to open the book in iBooks. And then you can set the features as Laura mentioned. Laura, if you still want to share your screen, maybe you can show everyone in the Help Center where to find those directions for setting the accessibility settings in iOS.
Sure.
If you just, actually, I think if you just go to iPad, just search for iPad or something, I think it might work for you.
Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. Going to the Help tab. There's the Can I Open Books in iBooks.
There we go.
And it has the instructions for how to do it on a Mac computer and on iOS, which is the iPad and iPhone.
And if I could make one other suggestion for teachers who know that their students are going to be reading books using an EPUB download, set that download preference as that student's download preference. it makes it that much easier for the student not to have to pick a different format. The default for those students will be EPUB wherever it's available.
Great suggestion, Jenny. Thank you. Awesome. All right, so I think now Nick is going to talk about some other ways to read Bookshare books, some new and exciting options that are available. So take it away, Nick.
Thanks, guys. So my name is Nick Bowen. I am the Customer Service Manager here for Bookshare and Benetech. It's really nice to see some very familiar faces in the ReadyTalk. So for those that I've been working with lately, it's nice to meet you guys. And for those that haven't had the pleasure yet of working with me and my team, we're of course ready to help with any questions that you guys have at any time. But besides for the plug, so Bookshare is about keeping things as flexible and available to our members as humanly possible. We of course have very limited funding ourselves, so the tools that we've built in-house, of course, may not be able to keep up with some of the development speeds that some of our other partners have out in the world. So we like to show what else is out there and what we're kind of keeping our eye on. Many of you probably are already familiar with Captive Narrator, which is what's on my screen right now. Captive Narrator is a great option. It starts off as a free service for individual members, but for supports for larger books, supports for images within books, and most importantly, for support within schools themselves and organizations, they do have a small subscription fee. One of the great features with it is it allows you to synchronize content very quickly. So if you have a student that transitions between a Chromebook and an iPad and maybe a computer at home, they can very quickly pick up right where they left off on all those locations. But like I said, it does come with that subscription cost. Another very old tool from the world where we live in, which is not really old, but one that a lot of our members are familiar with is VoiceStream Reader. This one has an upfront initial cost to it, but is a great tool for both individual members and just students on organizations. There's no subscription cost for this. It has basically the same voices that Captive Narrator has and same options as well. But to note here for VoiceStream Reader, it doesn't have the cloud option, so it can't synchronize across devices. And those voices, you get your first one for free, and everything past that first one does have a little bit of additional cost, but it's still a great, great value. And then third, the one that I wanted to bring up here most importantly is a tool that's just new on the market. It's something that we're watching really close because we think this could be possibly the future, where some of our tools are going. Dolphin Easy Reader, it's produced by an organization in the UK. And they've partnered actually with the UK library, but they've made a tool that's actually compatible with us as well. The Dolphin Easy Reader, it's available on iOS and Android for free. There is some additional cost for voices behind the scenes, but there's no upfront cost for the app itself. It has a lot of the great tools that our members love, with the same font options, the highlighting options. Something that has recently come out too is with our members with low vision, the color options available in Captive Narrator and VoiceStream Reader can be a little bit limited, whereas Dolphin Easy Reader, actually the way the color settings are set up are perfect for our low vision members. So it's a great option if you have a student that you're supporting with limited vision. So besides that, we of course have iBooks. That's a great option, but those are the items that are on our radar.
Great.
We'll
Thanks, Nick.
We'll be adding the Easy Reader product to our iOS and Android reading tool pages shortly. We've just gotten finalized the information from Dolphin that they'd like to promote to our Bookshare members and teachers.
Cool. Great. And I have up here a slide that is kind of summarizing some of the options we just talked about. iBooks, of course, which is also applicable to Mac computers as well as iPads and iPhones. Dolphin Easy Reader, as Nick just mentioned, and Captive Voice. Both of those can, Dolphin Easy Reader is free. Captive Voice is free for the basic subscription for an individual, as Nick mentioned. And then there's VoiceStream Reader, which does have a fee involved for purchasing the app, but there is a volume discount available. Read2Go is one app that we actually produced at Benetech, and it's available at a volume discount as well. As Nick mentioned, though, we don't have as many resources as many of these third parties, so we like to highlight some of the tools that have been able to keep up with more recent developments a little bit better than our own tool we have with our own tool. And then if anyone is using the Android platform, there is a free app called Go Read that we produce that is a great option for reading books on Android tablets or devices, and then VoiceStream Reader also works on Android.
And if I may make one more plug for Go Read, it is the first app that allows reading list support. We've built that out to make sure that it prototypes well, that it's ready and available, and that is the new one is coming out this week, but there's already a version of Go Read that supports reading lists. So we'd love to get feedback from you all as to how your students who have Android phones or tablets are liking Go Read with the reading list.
And someone just mentioned in the chat, and I responded there, but I may as well make sure it's out. The Dolphin Easy Reader does have a Windows-based application as well. Their Windows-based application is not free. I believe it's $55, but we've had great reviews of it. So it's a great option if you have a little bit of funding and you want a Windows-based application for your students. It's a great option to research.
Excellent. That's some great, wonderful information, everyone. Thank you. I think, let's see, are we to the point now where Ginny is going to share some roster management updates?
Yes, let me get back in, and I'm going to share my screen. Now I'm going to share.
And these are for sponsors or the primary contact on an organizational account, being able to do some pretty cool things to make their lives a little easier. So Ginny will tell you about those now.
So if you're able to see my screen, I am logged in as a sponsor, as a teacher in the same organization that Christine was. So you'll see some of those same students that we've just added. Some of the things that we've added this fall, this summer, in preparation for the back-to-school season are some additional ability to manage your lists. So it may be that you want to assign everybody who's in grade, let's say grade 10, in your district or school to a certain reading list. So what I've done here is I've filtered on the grade level. So for those of you who have 1,500 students in the whole district and only 150 grades, this allows you to winnow it down. In this case, I'm going to just check off those students, and I'm going to add them all to one of the reading lists that Christine was talking about as an example. It's a little slow here. There we go. So I love this Books to Film, so I'm going to just make sure that all my 10th graders have access to the books that are on there so that we can talk about them, and they could do some of their writing assignments on this topic, on what they saw over the summer and have read thoroughly in their reading. So that's one of the actions that you can do. If you are using the district and school information within the members roster, such as a district like California District and the Palo Alto Elementary, there's another way that you can filter down to certain schools. I could say I only want to find the students who are at Central High School, for example, and that's going to bring me down to that, or to a particular elementary school. Finally, if you wanted to, this is still this is a slight change to what we used to have, is there was the quick list and individual members and org members. If you can see the drop-down list that I have, I'm hoping it'll show up in a second. Great. Oh, it's not really showing, but you'll have to trust me. When you go onto your list, the drop-down list will say all members, my quick list, individual members, or org members. So remember, we'd love to have teachers at larger districts or schools using the quick list, because then that constantly uses just a short list of the students who you are working with that particular year. So again, instead of 1,500 students, hopefully AT specialists, reading specialists, and gen ed teachers only have maybe 50 students at a time that they're working with on Bookshare, maybe 10. If you limit that list to those that are on your quick list, you're able to be much more nimble in managing the list of students that you have. Similarly, if you wanted to list, find out who also has an individual membership in addition to the school membership that they have, you could choose that list. Or if you also want to look for people that are have just student accounts and they rely on the teachers to assign them books or to facilitate the downloads, you could limit and filter the list to just those students. And then you could encourage them to add on individual memberships as needed when they're ready. Does that pick up most of the points that some of the changes and improvements that we made to member roster? The last thing I wanted to just remind people, and I hope I'm not taking the wind out of anyone else's sails, for those of you who are uploading your student rosters fresh into schools using a spreadsheet, we now accept XLSX as well as XLS, the old style roster spreadsheets. So to get the new version, you still would want to download a brand fresh version of the XLSX, just in case there's been any changes. But really, you can now save it in this in the XLSX. You can't say that 5 times in a row.
Great. Thank you, Jenny. Do you quickly want to just review what the icons are at the top of on the members screen there?
I sure will. And unfortunately, as I hover over them, I'm able to see the tooltip, but they go black on your screen. So I'm going to just read them out loud. So the little head that's there, and the plus sign is add a member. Then we have add to reading list will appear after you've selected one or more students. You can see that it is now activated. I can now add those students to a reading list. Or the cloud symbol is the upload roster symbol. We use the same symbol down at the bottom when you do show, if people are ever down at the bottom and they want to perform the same kind of actions, the buttons also include the same icons. They just don't take up as much real estate up on the top area with just the icons, but for visualization it's the same. The last thing that some of you may not have seen that we made changes of this past year, and that list of values is showing. So if there were one or more students that you've selected, you could add their individual membership and get the older style process started. The thing that we all love to do at the beginning of the school year is make sure that their grade levels are incremented, and again, you can do this wholesale by selecting a whole number of students. And again, to manage your own quick list, you could select all the people that are maybe in grade 5 in your district, if that's who you're supporting, and add them to your quick list. Anything else? If not, I will wait for questions to come through.
Yeah, so actually Nick was going to talk briefly about the discussion forums, so why don't we have him do that, and then we'll open up the program for questions.
Perfect. So hi again, everybody. I just wanted to use this opportunity to also introduce something that's relatively new. We're hoping to expand our community forum to a place where not just mentor teachers and our parent ambassadors can come together to ask questions and learn more about Bookshare, but also our community in general can come together and talk about maybe what they're reading in for the summer vacation, or talk about new features they'd like to see on Bookshare and such. So up now is the new Bookshare discussion forum. We currently have 2 themes available. We have the standard Bookshare theme, and we do have a low vision yellow and black theme for our members who prefer. To log into this, if you have a Bookshare account, if you're a Bookshare sponsor or a Bookshare member, you can log in with your same Bookshare username and password. If you do not, however, you can sign up for one really, really quick. It just needs your email address and your name, and that's basically it. Once you're in, you can browse the various topics, for instance, the mentor teachers general area, where I've been helping one of our friends that's in this demonstration today, so I'm happy to see that they're around. Michelle, for instance, here had a question about MP3 books on her Mac computer with a student here. And we, of course, give a reply and have discussions with this. For just adding to the conversations, at the bottom of every conversation, you can very quickly open up a text box to reply to the topic with information. You can send personal messages to people if you have just private questions. You feel free to give private questions to myself as well. We're really hoping that, for the next several years, as our membership grows exponentially, tools such as this will help us be able to make sure everybody on Bookshare is up to speed with anything new that comes out, and simultaneously is able to find really quick and easy answers to any questions that they have that comes up along the way. So that's
great. Great. And Nick, if you can highlight how people find it, how people find the discussion forum.
Why would I want them to find it? So you can, of course, go directly to the URL, which is up here, discussions.bookshare.org. But if you're in the bookshare.org website, I was going to try to avoid the page, but that's okay. We're going to show some ugly black bars. I apologize. These are ugly black bars that are on my version of it. On your My Bookshare page, everybody has a link on the right-hand side for a Bookshare discussion forum. And if anybody's interested as well, it's on the Bookshare Help Center. So if you go to our Help Center here, on the bottom of the Help Center, we'll have the Ask the Community link here. That'll take you right to the Bookshare discussion forum.
Excellent. And I think what we're hoping is that the mentor teachers will migrate over to this method of asking each other questions and sharing information and resources and tips, rather than the Google group that many of you are used to using. But we know that sometimes it's hard to change behavior and do something new, so we certainly will be using that Google group for quite some time. But this allows the discussions to be a little more organized and more easily searchable, and there's a lot of benefits. So we'd like to encourage you to jump on over to this discussion forum and start getting acquainted with it. And I think you'll find it to be very beneficial. So thank you, Nick.
I skipped over it in my notes as I'm as organized as ever. For keeping track of new topics as they come in, you absolutely can follow. For instance, this is right now following the entire Mentor Teachers subsection. So any new threads or conversations, I would be alerted via email of content to it. And of course, you can follow individual threads as well. So if you go into an individual thread that you're really interested in, you can follow it, and of course receive any kind of email update for changes and updates and new responses to the conversation.
Great. Okay, I think that is the end of our formal remarks for this webinar, but we'd now like to open it up for questions. And the best way for you all to ask questions is to use the chat feature, and you can put a question in, and our whole team is ready and able to answer those. I did want to mention, and Nick mentioned the discussion forum as one way to get answers to your questions, and we want to encourage you to take advantage of resources that are available 24/7, so things like the Help Center, our brochures and how-to guides, and we have a number of videos as well. In fact, let me quickly take you to a Bookshare webpage where you can see what a lot of those things are that are available for you, the resources that are there. Let me go back to Bookshare. And if I go to Help Center and then Training and Resources, down on the left here, there are video tutorials and brochures and how-to guides. There's quite a few really great video tutorials, so I encourage you to check these out, and there's some member videos here as well. We'll be adding some new videos very soon in the next couple of weeks. There are also a great selection of brochures and how-to guides. These are sorted for schools and students and then for all users. So I encourage you to make use of these. A lot of these have very detailed step-by-step instructions and screenshots that can be very helpful if you or those you work with like to have something in front of them to refer to. So great. Okay, well, so we will jump now into questions from the team. Any questions that have come up so far that you think are worth sharing with everyone?
So I think there's actually a few on here that I think are great, and I've sent some personal responses, but let's go ahead and put some of these out there for others. Somebody asked, is there a way to remove multiple students from reading lists at a time? Because it's great to be able to add them, but unfortunately we don't yet have a way to remove multiple students from a reading list, but it's definitely something on our list that we hope to add. The question about EPUB, somebody mentioned that one of the books they were interested in EPUB format did not have the EPUB format available. There is unfortunately a size restriction on books, or a complexity level on books, that prevents us from making EPUB format for some of the books. It's definitely a limit that we're trying to eliminate, but it does unfortunately exist. Books where EPUB is not available, we have lots of other great options for downloading those books, predominantly through raw text formats, the DAISY text itself. Please feel free to contact my team directly, because it kind of gets complex with what kind of device you're using or what platform you're using. So we'll be glad to walk you through what options are available to your specific situation. There is the question about how important is it to update grade levels associated with students within your roster. This is one where I make the ask that I highly encourage you to keep the information on your student roster as accurate as possible. It's nothing you should lose sleep over, but please do keep it as accurate as possible. It helps us both with individual memberships and making sure that their individual memberships, if a student has one, gets renewed appropriately. And then it helps us with our reporting on our side, because the Department of Education, of course, that funds us, is very interested on who exactly they're funding. And then this last one question came through of refreshing somebody's memory on NIMAC textbooks and how explicitly or exactly to work with 504 students. The NIMAC, unfortunately, was an organization created explicitly only for IEP students with public school issued IEPs. It's something that we have no control over. We will gladly make a book available for a 504 student. If they're on a 504 and the only book available in Bookshare is a NIMAC book, please go to our Help Center. On the left-hand side is our Request a Book. Please request a book and just put in the notes that is for a 504 student, and we'll go out, we'll get it, we'll add it to our library.
Great. And we should note, though, that that book will have been chopped and scanned, and so it's not going to be quite the same experience for the user as the book that comes from the NIMAC. And just in case anyone doesn't know what that acronym is, it's the National Instructional Materials Access Center. It was set up by IDEA 2004 and is a repository of K-12 textbooks. And publishers should be sending textbooks to the NIMAC, but it is important that purchasers, so the purchasing folks and the districts need to include language in their purchasing contracts with the publishers that stipulates that they add those books to the NIMAC to make them available for students with disabilities. But as Nick said, they're only available to students who are on IEPs, but we will do our best to make sort of a manual version available to students on 504, or basically students who don't have IEPs.
And then the other really quick limitation that was asked, any other related limitations regarding the NIMAC or any books in general. The only restrictions that we have in place that our teachers might hit is these NIMAC books must be assigned to students through a reading list. If the student has an individual membership and they have an IEP, they still won't have access to these NIMAC books unless a teacher actually assigns it to them through that reading list. So do make sure that you're assigning these textbooks to your students. But other than that, there should be no other restrictions that we find on those.
Right, so that's a great point. The way to share a NIMAC textbook with a student who is served with an IEP, does have an IEP, is to either have downloaded it for them previously or to add it to their reading list, and then they can log in with their student login and access the textbook. So that's a great point. And I saw a question about reading lists, and I think you covered this a little bit, Nick, but we have made it possible for the apps that partner with us to incorporate reading lists into their apps, so that as is the case with ReadNow, as Ginny mentioned, the ReadNow app on the Android platform, when a student logs in, they actually will see their actual reading lists that have been shared with them. That's not the case with all the other apps right now that read Bookshare books, and it's just up to the app developers to take advantage of that aspect of their integration with Bookshare. So hopefully more of them will be doing that soon, and so that students will be able to find books very easily that are on reading lists. Until then, though, what we recommend is students just search for the book, log in to that app, log into Bookshare within the app with their student login, search for the book that they're looking for, and a list of books will come up, many of which will be grayed out because they're not available to the student because they haven't been shared with that student. But the one that was shared with that student on a reading list will be available to open or download, whatever the case may be. So we hope to see more of our partners incorporate this functionality in the apps. It's not something we have a lot of control over, so we apologize for the frustration that does cause many people, but it is still possible to find the book by searching for it.
And Christine, this is Jenny. I'd love to go with the positive side of some of the work that we're doing as well that you'll be seeing this coming fall. And in fact, I'm going to invite people to sign up to be part of our beta testing. Word will now be a download format starting next month as a beta, and then live hopefully the next month, depending upon feedback from good teachers and students like yours. So that is going to be one of the other options for handling large books that could not be downloaded as an EPUB or opened in WebReader. It would allow people to download the book as a Word docx format and then be able to use it in the ways that they're accustomed to using Word, including if they are a Google school, a Google Education school, you could pull it into a Google Doc as well. And with that, I'm going to ask actually as well the call to action to please help us with that beta testing is if you are a Google Education G Suite user, your schools are using that tool, what are the best ways that students are reading within the Google Education Suite? Is there anything that we could do from a Bookshare product perspective to be better integrated with your tools? So that's just a sort of a light bulb for you guys to think about over the next days and weeks as you go back into your classrooms.
Yes. Yes, that's exciting. Ginny, do you want to tell them how they can be part of that beta testing?
Yes, please. If you could send a note. Oh, Michelle. Yes, so Read and Write with Google. Thank you for putting that in there. Is a great option. So they're going to send a note to beta@bookshare.org and request that they be part of that beta. Or when it's really out there, we'll be able to put out a note as to exactly the link that you would use to activate and become your own beta user, or to tell your students that they can you can deputize them with the beta option as well. Yes.
Excellent. One of the things that is important to mention if you are using Google Drive in your classrooms is that if you are going to upload Bookshare books in Word or whatever other format to Google Drives, we request that you make them available only to the student for whom they're downloaded and the student who qualifies, and not make them available, A, to students who don't qualify for Bookshare, or B, to different students other than the one for whom you downloaded it. So typically what we're seeing these days is most students individually have their own Google login that they use, and they access their own personal drive. So if that's the way that it's working, that is terrific. And we just ask you to be mindful of the copyright restrictions there when you upload books to a Google Drive. Great. Any other questions coming in, team, that we should mention?
No. No.
Yeah, and just to highlight the comment about Read and Write for Google Chrome, that is a wonderful option. And in fact, for quite some time it was working as an overlay the Chrome extension could be an overlay to Bookshare Web Reader and offer the ability to get better voices. For some reason it's not working at this time, and we're not really sure why. It must have been either a change to Chrome or something. That's unfortunate, but it will be a great option to bring those books into Google and use any one of the wonderful voices in Read and Write for Google. And of course you can get the highlighting and a lot of other options in that tool as well. Let's see, a couple more questions coming in. Let's see.
So Kathy had a very interesting question. I believe I'm interpreting it correctly. The scenario is they have an individual member who's forgot their username and or password. So how does she assist their students in gaining access to books when they can't log into their Bookshare account? For privacy reasons, of course, the individual memberships are controlled by the parents currently. So resetting passwords and such is controlled by the parents. In that situation, we have still been recommending that at worst they can add the student to the roster, remove the student from the roster in their current account, add the student as just an organizational member, and add the books to them that way. That way you give them a username and password that you control and they can gain access to. If they do regain access to their individual membership, you can then merge that individual membership back into the new student that you created. That way everything is all retained. But unfortunately that still is the process for that scenario.
Okay, good. Any other questions? We have a few more minutes if anyone else has a question they'd like to ask us. Why don't I ask you, actually, if you're on this webinar, raise your hand if your school is using Google extensively, Google tools right now. Okay, yep, lots of raised hands. Okay, excellent. Okay, go ahead and uncheck your raised hand button, put your hand down. Let me ask you, how many of you are part of districts that are doing a one-to-one device initiative? Okay, not nearly as many. Okay, Google is more popular than one-to-one device. Okay, and how about how many of you are primarily Mac or Mac or iOS, iPad districts? Anyone? Nope, don't see that. Okay. Anyone else on the team? Yeah. How many of you are extensively using Chromebooks? Yeah, quite a few. Okay. Okay, not surprising. Yep, we hear that everywhere we go. Excellent. Okay. Team, any other questions you want to ask?
Yeah. How many people are using reading lists, either reading lists for students?
So Stephen just asked an interesting question, searching for books with images. On the Bookshare website, we did add something to the advanced search. When you hit on advanced search, one of the options down there is books with images only, to try and help that a little bit. We're still trying to find other ways to make sure that it's really easy to tell if a book has images or not for our sponsors, but that's a great option. And
Nick, do you want to jump on to and show that in advanced search?
Yeah, I can do that.
That is definitely worth mentioning, and that is somewhat relatively new as well. So it's good for everyone to be able to see that they have that option, both to search for books with images and books with image descriptions as well.
So in here, right towards, oops, I didn't think it would load that fast. Right here, towards the bottom, beneath what books to search, which also, by the way, is a really interesting piece if you are ever interested in our freely available books or just NIMAC books. Underneath that, we have the different qualities, and of course, being who I am, I always check everybody, but most of the time you don't want to include good and fair. You want to include just publisher or excellence. But the ones that contain images will generally exclusively be publisher quality, so you can check contains images here. and then search for the title or ISBN number or anything that you're interested in. And when these search results come up, these will all be books with images, no matter what. I do want to note that it's becoming much rarer these days, but we still do have an issue. Every once in a blue moon, a publisher will give us a book where the images are the cover art and the copyright logo, and that's it. Like I said, when I joined here about 5 years ago, that was actually fairly common. These days it's really not anymore, but it does happen every once in a blue moon. So if you hit that, I apologize. Unfortunately, we can't always control what the publishers give us. But the vast majority of our books have images these days, which is great.
And actually, Nick, while you're on that page, if you could also just show some of the refined search, which is new to many teachers since if they hadn't used it since last fall, to remind people about all the power of the refined search capability on the left side of that page.
Sure. So, these are your default search results now, and all search results will have this new refined search on the left-hand side. The default sort order, of course, is relevance, trying to put the most relevant title right on the top. But if we pull this down, you can sort by title, author, ISBN numbers if you wanted. The date added is the date added to Bookshare. This is really interesting for a lot of our recreational readers because a lot of times we add older books to our collection, but since they're recently added to Bookshare, they're basically new. So it's a great option there as well. Beneath that, we can sort by specific authors. So if you're looking for books from a specific author, you can very quickly find that author and view all of the books from that author. If you're interested in multiple languages, we have options here. Include, for this specific search, books all the way to Marathi, which is, and of course categories. And we have little numbers next to each category to show you how many books in the search results are within each category. So I only want to see the literature and fiction books that have McGee in the title. And there we go.
And actually, Nick, you mentioned freely available books. Can you talk briefly about those being available now for anyone, even if they're not logged in to Bookshare, that they can read them in Bookshare Web Reader or download them?
Sure. So what I've just done is I've logged out of Bookshare, and I can go to my advanced search here, and instead of searching all books, I'm going to search for freely available books. And let's search for Sherlock. I like Sherlock. So here we find that even though I'm not logged into Bookshare, we have options for Read Now, so it'll open the book up within our web reader, just like a student would be, as well as download it in all of our other formats. This is a great tool for our sponsors and teachers who are going around trying to show what the Bookshare experience is like for students. This way, you don't have to log in with demo accounts. You don't have to log in with your own account to make fake students, as we see a lot. You can just go right to our freely available books on any computer and immediately download our books right within the web reader. And
in fact, Nick and our collection development team have even made a reading list full of just demo books available from the Browse page. So as you're browsing through the list of all of the fabulous special collections, that might even be just a helpful tool for you to have on your reading list in order to just quickly be able to go find some of those freely available titles.
So it might be worth showing, since I'm not sure if we've demonstrated the new Browse page anyway. So I've pulled up the new Browse page that's trying to redo how we've sorted content to try and be a little bit more helpful. You can, of course, browse by other collections. So we have collections for kids and teens and everything. And under General Resources is the collection that Jenny was referring to with our demo books. And, for instance, here is The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Oops.
Excellent.
I shouldn't have said that.
Excellent.
You didn't see that one.
Yep. Excellent. That's great. Thank you, Nick. And I think we're at time, but thank you all. We really do appreciate all the hard work you do for students, and we hope you'll take advantage of these new features and the discussion forum, and we wish you all the best for a very successful school year. And thanks to the team for all of your great presentations as well. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks so much.